Welcome to another video of daily digital reflection. In this video, we are going to be exploring chapter 2. We ignore our flesh and blood. And today we're diving into the complex relationship between our digital lives and our physical existence. So first, let's start off with a sobering reality. Texting while driving. It's a habit that makes us 23 times more likely to crash. Imagine driving the length of a football field at 55 miles per hour completely blind. That's what happens every time we send a text behind a wheel. And so I don't know about all of you, but thankfully I haven't had to experience that, just devastating moment. But I am someone that often teaches people how to drive. It's a luxury, a privilege, and a newfound freedom when you know how to drive. And so I know for me, I've been driving for the moment I can get my license. And as someone who was one of the few students who had a car in high school. I practice some unsafe driving habits, more so just probably too many people in the car at once. And of course, that's not something that I encourage or would want anyone to do. But as I've gotten older and have had the chance to teach people how to drive, one of the number one things I would tell them is that you are responsible for the people in that car, and that if anything were to happen, especially in the midst of sending a text message, answering a phone call, listening to your music too loud, or just being distracted, that's something that you're going to have to think about for the rest of your life. But what I really love about this chapter is not even talking about the people in the car, but obviously the people that are driving next to us. And that the only thing that's really separating us between us and the other big hunk of metal next to us is painted lines. And so we have to ask ourselves, why do we text and drive? And I don't think it's about breaking laws or anything, but it's about our struggle to be present in the physical world. We're constantly torn between our digital connections and the flesh and blood reality around us. And so this division doesn't just affect our driving, it seeps into our online interactions too. I'm not sure about you, but have you noticed how much easier it is to get angry online? I think we've seen so much of that, unfortunately, in our lifetime, and now more than ever. And so, without seeing the person we're talking to, unfortunately, empathy often goes out the window. And so, whether you're Christian or a spiritual person or a spiritual being, we're called to a different standard. And so, if you know the apostles John and Paul, they actually emphasize the importance of face to face fellowship, face to face interaction. There's a fullness of joy that comes from being physically present with others that simply cannot be replicated through a screen. Think about, our most sacred practices, and think about your sacred practices. For us, it's baptism and communion. For you, it might be at the altar or some holidays. These are deeply physical acts that remind us of our embodied faith. We can't be baptized or share the Lord's Supper through our phones. And so in our digital age, it's easy to forget that we're finite physical beings. We're not smooth, clean, indestructible like our devices. We're made of flesh and blood, easily scratched and broken. But here's the beautiful truth. We're created in God's image, made for the embodied joy and fellowship in their name. Our challenge is to embrace this reality, to love not just in the tweets and the posts and the texts, but in deeds and in physical presence. So, how can we reflect on how we can be better balanced in our digital and physical lives? How can we become more present with those around us? How can we use our devices to enhance rather than to replace our face to face connections? So again, if you have gotten through this video, I wanted to give you all a short video compared to the last one. But as you didn't get the chance to hear in my last video, I was just really talking about, for me, it's truly a pain point and has now become my purpose. The lack of presence that I had with caring adults in my life, and not even caring adults, present adults in my life, and then also present friends and siblings and things of that sort. Man, we miss out on so much as humans when we're not with each other in person. We don't see the nonverbal communication that's happening, whether it's the lifted eyebrows or the bigger smile or the frown. I actually got a degree in communication studies, and nonverbal communication is was my favorite class and is something that I still use to this day. We do it every day. But there's just nothing that is able to replicate us being in person with each other. And so I know that we live in this digital world now, but how can we use these phones, these devices, so that we can be with each other more in person? How can we actually use it to be social and not just through media? And so, again, remember that we're just not the pixels on a screen, that we're living, breathing creations of God called to love them and our neighbors and ourselves in the fullness of our humanity. So, my reflection question for all of you is to reflect on a moment when you were fully present. And what did that feel like when you? I think the best example is sometimes when you're going on a first date, or when you're with a loved one, or when you're with someone who's transitioning, or maybe with a young one. Remember that moment, reflect on that moment, and remember what it felt like. What did it look like? What did you see? What did you notice? And if you can't think of that, which would be a little unfortunate, why don't you reflect on the last time someone was fully present with you? When maybe you were going through a tumultuous time. Maybe you just wanted to complain about work. Maybe you just needed some advice. Maybe you just needed someone to listen. Do you remember what it was like when someone was fully present with you? Not a single ding, ping, or notification, not a single text or phone call or distraction. And how did that feel? And if you can't think of those examples, how does it make you feel when people are not present with you? Do you have friends that eat with their phones at the table? Do you have family that has their phones faced up on the table? What happens when you're in the car, and everyone's on their phones? So just take a moment to reflect when we're not physically there and present in person. And so my challenge for you for this video is to practice presence. Choose one loved one in your life, maybe one that you feel like you have been lacking presence with, and to practice presence with them, to put your phone away, to possibly turn on those do not disturb profiles, to put your phone on silent, or just at least put it in another room. And just practice being present, looking at all the nonverbal cues, listening to the tone of their voice and how it fluctuates, and whether they're somber or excited, whatever the case may be, or just asking them about a story so that you can be fully present with them. And try to be conscious while you're doing that and see how it feels in your body and see how they feel and observe how they're responding to you, knowing that you're not being distracted or pulled away from the moment. And jot down those reflections. Jot down what you observe and jot down how it makes you feel and how you think it's making the other person feel. So again, just choose one loved one. I know we want to do it with everybody, but we got to start off. We got to start off, with one person. And to be fully transparent, if you feel like you can't think of that one person, why not try with yourself? Try with yourself to put the phone in the other room, to turn off the notifications, to put it on silent, and to set those do not disturb profiles. And see what it's like to be fully present with yourself. I would say it's a little bit more difficult, but it's definitely a practice worthy of trying. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, we're just here to explore considering taking these actions. It's challenge by choice, and you just get what you put in. So make sure to take a moment to pause and reflect and really answer these questions before clicking on to the next video. Of course, for updates regarding this course and other courses, you can join my newsletter at connectwithkshort.com/newsletter. Know that this is a prerequisite to any of my other courses, more specifically my primary course, Daily Digital Declutter 101. For exclusive content, you can follow me on YouTube and Instagram at K.Short. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn with good reason, you can find me at Kathleen Short. And lastly, make sure to share this mini course with loved ones and people you care about, whose presence is a present in your life, and so that we can share our time together again. So thank you for joining me in today's daily digital reflection. And until next time and in the next video, may you find joy in the physical presence of others and in the embodied nature of your faith. All right, y'all. Talk to you soon and see you in the next video. Bye now.